G'day mate, how's it going? Sorry for the lack of uploads, the Pompeii one is taking a little bit longer than expected, but I'm chugging along. It'll just be a little bit longer. In the meantime, here's a re-upload for The Power of the Doctor. The original one was demonetized and restricted because the BBC copyright bots, they're set to kill anything with BBC properties in it regardless of fair use or even if it is explicitly made for the purpose of getting people to watch their stuff. I've actually made previous videos completely unwatchable, but for every problem there is a solution, mate. More copyrighted material! In the form of the original opening for Doctor Who from the 60s. The opacity turned way down, flipped, overlaid over itself again, and then overlaid over the top of the video with the opacity turned way down. Apparently, that works. Who knew?
It's centenary special time. That's right, the power of the Doctor is here. Jodie Whittaker's last episode, and to mark it, mate, they threw the kitchen sink at her. This episode has everything. It's got Tegan. Ace is there, I fucking called it, like and subscribe. And she acts exactly the same as she did back in '89. It's like nothing's changed. There's also Unit and Kate, Koshamus, and there's the Cybermen, the Master, the Daleks, volcanoes, a MacGuffin-fueled cyber planet, historical cosplay, and Freaky Friday shenanigans. They've even got classic Doctors. Eight's in it, now you have to watch it. It's a big, glorious, ungodly mess, but it kind of works. It's a great episode, a really good way to cap off the Chibnall era. It's disjointed and all over the place, but that kind of suits it. The Chibnall era was also disjointed and all over the place, except this is actually fun to watch. Yes, it has more going on in it than the third act of Star Wars The Phantom Menace, but somehow it all works. But to really explain why it's a very good episode, I'm going to have to get into spoilers. So now would be a good time for you to stop watching, go watch the special, and then come back. They're not coming back, are they? This is the Centenary Special! It opens with a train heist in space. The Cybermasters have hijacked a space train, and the Doctor and Powers are there to stop them. Because, mate, on this train there is a MacGuffin in the form of an unknowably powerful energy creature. The Cyberboys decide to reference Moffat, and then they fuck off, leaving the Doctor to wonder where the hell they went. They arrive back on Earth to drop off Dan so he can go to his date, but he's decided to leave the TARDIS completely. He nearly died on the space train, and who knows when his luck is going to run out. While Yaz is saying goodbye, one of the first big episode ideas shows up. A Dalek wants to talk to her, a defected Dalek who has become rather disenchanted with the Dalek cause. The Dalek travel machines were originally designed by Davros to perpetuate the Khalid race, but Khalid identity has eroded completely over the years, and the new mission is to perpetuate Daleks, a new race that is not Khalid.
I mean you no harm. You'd be the first Dalek to ever mean that.
The idea of a defected Dalek has been done before, but this is a very interesting new take on it that needed its own episode to breathe. But there's no time. The Doctor has traced the MacGuffin to 1916. World War I. Russia is losing. A new moon has appeared in the sky, and the Tsarina has called for the help of Rasputin to help her son who suffers from haemophilia. Oh no, it's history time again. Oh no, here we go. No time for that. This video is long enough as it is. Gregory Rasputin insists that all they really need is a holiday away from the palace so he can have it all to himself. The idea of the Master disguising himself as Rasputin to gain influence over the Tsar and the Russian Queen for some scheme that he's hatching is a great idea that needed its own episode to breathe. So the Doctor arrives on the new moon. It's a cybernetic planet cyberized by the MacGuffin. And on the planet, they find a box. A police box. The Master has decked out his TARDIS to look exactly like the Doctor's, only in a far superior colour scheme. All of this is a great idea and really needed its own episode to breathe. They're chased back into the TARDIS by some Cybermasters, just in time to get a phone call from Kate. She's rebuilt Unit from the ground up and she needs the Doctor's help. And it cannot wait. This is a great idea that needed some. Here the Doctor meets Tegan and Ace. The Doctor is stunned to meet them after so many years that Tegan isn't too happy to see her. It's been 38 years since she left TARDIS and the Doctor hasn't gone back in touch once. Something Yaz isn't too keen to learn. Considering the somewhat romantic nature of the relationship that Yaz and the Doctor have, I can't imagine what must be going through Yaz's head at this moment. So the paintings were all taken down because each of them were poorly photoshopped with the face of the Master cosplaying as Rasputin. This is a great idea that needed its own episode. So the Master has invited them to a keynote on seismology in Naples, Italy. It's here they find the seismologists, all shrunken down to size. So the Master tells the Doctor that he has a plan that involves a lot of death, primarily hers. Tells them that he really wants to go to Unit headquarters. Obvious trap is obvious. The Master is a delight here though. The way he's taunting them and getting into their heads, Sacha Dhawan is having a fucking ball in this role. I love his little interactions with everyone. Taunting Ace, asking Tegan if she keeps her aunt in a doll's house, telling Kate that her father was an idiot, which fair play he was.
Now see here, Doctor, you have finally gone too far.
I rather think we all have. What's it like out there?
There's sand everywhere. We're probably miles from London.
I'm afraid we're a little bit further than that, Brigadier.
The Doctor's right, we're not even in the same universe.
Nonsense, Benton. I tell you, that's a beach out there. It's probably in Norfolk or somewhere like that.
All the while screaming to anyone who will listen that he has a plan that is going to involve the death of everybody in the building. And he tells them multiple times. And what's really annoying is that he's done this before. Kate, you're being an idiot. He's done it to the Brigadier. He did it to Kate not that long ago while he was Missy. She made it very easy for them to catch her right from the start. She made it very clear that she wanted to be captured and she was right where she wanted to be on the plane and everything. And then she killed Osgood and was rescued by her Cybermen. If the Master wants you to take him somewhere else. If he says he wants you to lock him in the bunker, lock him up somewhere else. Lock him up in another facility, put a spanner in his works. You could have just left him in a box in Naples and saved yourself all the bother. Either Kate is an idiot or this is bad writing, and I think I know which it is. Oh, by the way, Vinder is here. Hooray, another character. I was worried we didn't have enough. He's crash-landed his X-Wing into the planet, and that's not just me being flippant there. Look at it. Lucas, sue somebody. He's there to save the MacGuffin. Anyway, Yaz and the Doctor are off to see a Dalek about the racial cleansing of the Dalek race. Obvious trap is obvious, but not in the way that you'd think. Meanwhile, Yaz discovers that the Daleks are doing something to a volcano. Ace and Tegan are setting up to watch the Master when something came out of Tegan's bag. A little while back, Tegan got a package from the Doctor containing a Russian doll, and inside the doll was a toy Cyberman. It wasn't a toy though, and the Doctor didn't send it. It was sent by the Master because he knew Tegan would keep it with her. How do you know that? Tegan is a very complex character. She also could have likely thrown it away in disgust. I mean, the Cybermen weren't exactly a happy memory for her.
Look out! I must save Adric!
But anyway, the Master is right because reasons of plot, and it grows to full size and splits open, and out comes Koshamus and his Cyberboys. The lone Cyberman who the Master has cloned and is now using as his henchmen for funsies? So it seems that the Master's plan here is hinging on two things. Him being allowed to be brought into unit, even while he is screaming about how he is going to kill everybody there and that it's all part of his plan anyway, even though he's already done this before and they should already be wise to it, and Tegan keeping a toy that not only disgusts her, but brings back some really traumatic memories. So unit is overrun, the Master escapes, the Doctor is forced inside a Dalek and not in the fun way, and is then temporarily shifted away to 1916. And Yaz escapes in the TARDIS, which he knows how to fly for some reason. The Master has been making friends with the Daleks and the Cybermen and his Cybermasters. He's formed his own fam to take on the Doctor's fam. And he spends some time gloating about what a big brain smarty pants he is. His plan is to catch the Doctor and force her to regenerate into him, so he can be the Doctor. This isn't a Freaky Friday body swap sort of situation. The Master is literally going to become the Doctor, and the Doctor is just going to die. A really good idea that really needed its own episode. Now, the Master has never really shown any interest in the past of being the Doctor, but he's also always wanted to be immortal, and the Doctor seems to be immortal, so yeah, it's kind of a no-brainer if you think about it. So then he starts dancing to Ra Ra Rasputin, which took me completely by surprise, but it's not completely off-brand for the Master. He loves to party. In Season 3, he danced to the Scissor Sisters. Interesting tidbit. The guy who wrote Kill the Moon also had an idea for an episode where the meddling monk decides to go and play Ra Ra Rasputin to Rasputin, causing him to go insane and forcing the monk to take Rasputin's place. An episode so ridiculous and awesome, I have no idea why they didn't do it. I really hope they gave him a writing credit on this, because if they didn't, this is plagiarism. So, the Master has it all set up to broadcast to the TARDIS so Yaz can watch, and uses the cyberplanety thing to power his force regeneration thing, and he does, and he does, and he becomes the Doctor. Yaz lands just in time to pick up the Master, who is now the Doctor and very keen to go on space adventures, and soil the Doctor's name across the cosmos. And Yaz quickly kicks him out of the TARDIS for being a dick. I love the outfit he chose. It's a weird mashup. He's got 7's jumper, 4's scarf, 5's stick of celery, and 13's coat. It's like he's mocking not only the 13th Doctor, but every incarnation all at once. He even pulls out the 2nd Doctor's recorder to pass the time after Yaz ditches him. It's great. 13 is in a weird dreamscape, where she meets the 1st Doctor in his death robes. It's a manifestation of her consciousness, and it keeps shifting into the form of previous incarnations, like 5, 6, 7, and 8. People have wondered why it's only those 5. I could overanalyze this scene and say that it's because those are the 5 incarnations that the Doctor has most in common with. The 13th Doctor does have some traits of 7, with her cunning and manipulative nature. Hell, in her first episode ever, she pulled a classic 7th Doctor switcheroo. She's a little bit like Six with a dress sense and her tendency to be a little bit unstable at times, but also being blonde and bland and vanilla and liking a crowded TARDIS like 5. As for the 8th Doctor, they're both hopeless romantics and they also share Mary Shelley. 8 travelled with her and the 13th Doctor visited her, essentially decanonising the 8th Doctor travelling with her because he met her on the same night that the 13th Doctor was supposed to meet her, and I'm still mad about that. I know it's technically a good episode, but it also erased 3 really good episodes, and that is not a fair trade. I could overanalyze it like that, but think about it. Baker, Davidson, McCoy, and McGann are all very active in the fandom and still playing the Doctor to this day in the form of audio dramas. The actors who play the modern incarnations all have lives and active careers outside the franchise. There is also 9 who could have participated, but he's a one-man band. So while the Doctor is talking to herself, Yaz is talking to a holographic recreation of the Doctor. She put them onto the companion's skin and passed it off as static electricity. This is basically a cheap way of having the Doctor be in multiple places at once, but I'm kind of okay with it for reasons that will be revealed later. So the hologram helps Yaz pilot the TARDIS, and they're off to pick up Vinder, so he gets to be in the story too. Back in unit, Tegan and Kate go over the plan to destroy the building and trap everything in the rubble. Well, Ace does a base jump off the building, gets holes in her parachute, and falls straight into the TARDIS, which materializes below her. And now, mate, they've got a plan, and Ace is really hyped for it. They're gonna drop Ace at the volcano in Bolivia to single-handedly take on the Daleks, while Yaz and Vinder pick up the Doctor Master and force him to go back into the regeneration cabinet. It is now touchy-feely time, a special part of the episode where everything stops and the characters get to talk about their feelings. Tegan is trying to reach the building go boom button when her hologram thing turns on and she is face to face with her Doctor. Peter Davison gives a wonderful performance, assuring her that he never really forgot her, that he never forgets anyone who travels with him, and that he knows exactly how she feels at this moment. Surrounded by all of these Cybermen, all she can think about is Adric and how he died. While this is happening, Ace is in the volcano getting ready to blow up some Daleks, and her hologram thing comes on. 13 becomes 7, and he apologizes for failing her. He was only trying to teach her good habits, taking her under his wings so that one day she could fly. This is why I'm fine with this cheap way of the Doctor being in multiple places at once. It's a great way of getting classic Doctors into the show without making it too convoluted, and let's face it, it's already convoluted enough. So they can have one last goodbye to their classic companions. Both of these interactions are very touching, and on my first viewing, I cried. So Ace is ready to smack some Daleks when she nearly kills Graham. He's in the story now, and he's a volcano inspector apparently. Ace flirts with him a bit, tells him to never ask a lady's age on the first date, and beats the crap out of some Daleks. That's not just an all bat, by the way. She's had it since the classic run, and it's completely vibration proof. Think Captain America's adamantium shield and you get the picture. So the Daleks are there apparently to disrupt the tectonic plates and make every volcano on Earth erupt. A great idea that needs its own episode to breathe. So they're doing it by drilling into a volcano and hammering it a lot. And I'm not a seismology expert, but I'm pretty sure that drilling in a volcano wouldn't do that. Volcanoes erupt because pressure builds up within them, and hammering just one of them isn't going to make all of them explode. Maybe if they said that they put bombs at every fault line or something, I can make sense of it, but no. Magic drill thing, make volcanoes go boom. This is nonsensical to anyone with a high school education. Also, I don't think the writers are implying anything, but if Ace and Graham were a ship, it'd be called Grace. I don't think they're forcing a ship here. I want to make that very clear. I don't think they're forcing a ship here. It's a very interesting coincidence. So the Master is back in 1916 and commands the Daleks to start the volcano stuff. And I think they've forgotten that this room is 106 years in the past or something. I don't know. They're giving live updates. It's weird. Suddenly, the fugitive Doctor shows up and just makes me wish we had more of her. The Cybermasters shoot at her and they end up killing themselves in the crossfire because she's obviously a hologram. And Yaz and Vinder force the Master back into the machine. And the Doctor is herself again, and the Master is Rasputin. So Ace and Graham blow up the machine the Daleks are using to blow up the volcanoes, even though that really wouldn't work because volcanoes, they're literally on the surface of the crust. And just as they do, the Doctor picks them up. Tegan saves Kate from cyber conversion, and they blow up the building, and Tegan marches onto the TARDIS. They then go to the cyber planet where the Doctor arranges them all around the console. They do a thing with both TARDISes involving technobabble and are able to move the planet into the future, into the year 2022, where they stop the volcanoes by cyber converting them. I don't know, don't think about it too much, you'll be fine. The Doctor tells the MacGuffin to destroy the planet so it can be free. But oh no, it's the Master Rasputin guy. He's angry because he's not the Doctor anymore, so he gets the MacGuffin to blast the Doctor. Yaz picks her up, and I really want to do this meme, but if I did, I would get copyright strikes, so Yaz drops him off in Croydon. She's not exactly that accurate with the TARDIS, and the Doctor wakes up and finds she's regenerating. She takes the news a lot better than 10 did. She's a little bit upset. I mean, she wanted a lot more time, and I really want Jodie to have a lot more time as well. I mean, under a different showrunner, who knows what she could have been. But it's okay. They have time for one last date. The Doctor tells Yaz how much she loved being her and loved being with all of her companions, especially her, but she needs to do this last part alone. I think this really suits this Doctor. Outwardly, she's always been social and wanting to surround herself with people, but she's also kind of an introvert who needs to be alone to really process things. It's why I relate to this Doctor so much. It's also why I'm so lenient on her error, even though sometimes it's really crap. Yaz and the Doctor part ways without saying goodbye because neither of them wanted it to end. And when Yaz is dropped off, she immediately meets Graham, who takes her to a meeting of previous companions. There's classic companions, Kate's there, even Ian Chesterton, one of the first ever Doctor Who companions, who's confused when Dan refers to the Doctor with female pronouns. I mean, Ian was a pretty progressive guy for his time. He's just a little bit slow on the uptake. I doubt they'd have a problem with the Doctor being gender fluid. Honestly, this entire thing is a great idea that needs its own show. Give us a spin-off of the companions, having adventures together, and talking about old times. I fucking dare you, do it! Do it! So the Doctor takes in one last sunset and regenerates. Her regeneration is underplayed. No big speech, no bemoaning the unfairness of it all, just an acceptance of the end of her life and the beginning of something new. And then she regenerates into 10. I fucking called it, like and subscribe. So, that was Power of the Doctor. It's a mess. It's a big glorious mess, with way too much going on, but it also kind of works. I really enjoyed this episode. It was a great send-off for this era and very appropriate because it's kind of a mess itself. There are a few things that bother me. I think I've made my feelings on Doctor-companion relationships pretty clear, but I've also made efforts to stress that queerbaiting is kind of shit. I prefer that the Doctor didn't date their companions, but if you're going to do it, you should go all out. Don't just string everybody along for a couple of specials and just have it not amount to anything. Let them kiss. If you're not going to do anything with it, then you shouldn't have brought it up in the first place. It's insulting. Disney does this sort of shit all the time. If they decide to include the not straights in anything, they do it in a way that's not essential to the story and easy to cut out.
He said the word prince. I was meant to go, thank you, Disney. Aren't you marvellous? It's pathetic. It's a ridiculous, craven, feeble gesture towards the vital politics and the stories that should be told.
That's how the whole Phasmin thing seems to be, so why bother? I mean, whether they intended it or not, this turned into queerbaiting, and we don't need that in Doctor Who. If I were to describe this era with one word, it would be unfinished. And I don't think a lot of that was entirely Chibnall's fault. External circumstances kind of messed things up for him. Season 13, after all, was meant to be a full season, but a global pandemic fluxed that idea. They had to do very quick rewrites. Episodes were cut down, repurposed. The bulk of what they wanted to do was squeezed into Flux, some of it went into the specials, and the rest of it was crammed into this. There's a lot of unanswered questions, so many plot threads left dangling, no answers to the Timeless Child, we don't learn where the Fugitive Doctor fits in, and the Doctor never gets her memories back. None of that has been addressed. But does it really need to be? Chibnall did say right from the beginning that one of his intentions was to bring more mystery to the show. In the beginning, we knew absolutely nothing about the Doctor. You know, where he came from and his people was a complete mystery. But over the years, all of that has been fleshed out. Not only did we learn where the Doctor came from, we learned way too much about where the Doctor came from, and then it became boring. We also know what his mates called him in school, and what him and the Master got up to as kids. There was no mystery left anymore, or at least not enough for writers to expand on or develop in any interesting ways. But now everything we know is wrong. Now we have no idea where the Doctor came from, and they have entire lifetimes that we know nothing about. Chibnall has left a bunch of stuff for future showrunners to play with. Chibnall isn't a great showrunner, but he is a very good big ideas man. The Doctor's forgotten past, their mysterious origin, these are ideas that could be fleshed out by future showrunners who can make it fantastic. The locket with all the Doctor's memories is still buried deep within the TARDIS, just waiting to be picked up by someone. So yeah, I'm not really that annoyed at the fact that Chibnall just left us hanging. Also, if this episode was just the Doctor and co tying up loose ends, I have a feeling that would have just been a boring slog, and I wouldn't have enjoyed the episode nearly as much as I did. Nope, a loud, bombastic celebration of the show is exactly what the Doctor ordered. It was a nostalgia fest for the long-time fans, there was plenty of stuff for the Jodie stands to get into, and it was actually really, really good and got me very hyped for the 60th, for the new era. So yeah, that's Power of the Doctor. It was a mess, but it's a very good mess, so watch it.